For this project, you're going to need a bangle as a frame. It's 2.5 inches in diameter or 65 millimeters. You'll need 12 millimeter bugle beads, 4 millimeter bicones in 2 different colors, 8-0 round seed beads, 11-0 seed beads, and 11-0 in 2 different colors. You'll also need a size 12 beading needle and either 8-pound or 6-pound Fireline, as well as color matching beading thread to go around the outside. So the beading needle, you want 12, the number 12, because we'll go through these beads a number of times and you don't want to break any of them. And you want the Fireline, because this makes it a little stiffer in the center for the center piece. But once we put the piece onto the frame, you'll want something that matches the color. And the reason I don't use the beading thread throughout the entire project is it tends to stretch a bit. So I like something a little stiffer in the center, and then we'll use the color for around the outside. And this is just a ring that I've attached so that you can put a cord on it, or a Christmas hook, or whatever it is you want to use it for. I've removed the items that I'm not using because it makes it easier when you're going to pick up the beads not to pick up the wrong one or the wrong color. So we're going to start with our Fireline and our number 12 beading needle by picking up our 5-8-0 beads and bring them all the way down to the bottom. You only need enough tail to make a knot. We're not going to weave it back through because we'll go through this so many times you don't need to weave it back through. It's not going to go anywhere. So we'll pull this tight, and I'm just going to make 2 knots. 1 and 2. Now I tend to sew very tightly, and you don't want to be super tight with this. You can loosen up a little bit because you do want it to lay flat. The tighter you sew, the more that this is going to want to get wavy and ripple. So I'm going to cut this thread off and put that aside. And now I want to pick up, I'm going to go through one more 8-0. And I'm going to pick up 5 of my 11-0 beads. Spread them out a little bit. Excuse me. Pick up one and go through each bead. So we pick up 1, pick up another, and we'll go all the way around our 5. And on the last one, this is our last one, we can go through the 11-0. So we'll go through our 11-0. All right, now we're ready to pick up 5. So we pick up 5 of our little seed beads, 4, 5, and we go into the next small bead. And we're going to do that again. So we'll pick up 5, and we'll go into the next small bead. And continue going all the way around until you get to the last bead. All right, we're at our last bead now. So I've picked up 5, and we have to go in, I've turned it around, we have to go in the very first bead where we're going up here. You're not going in the 8-0, you're going in the 11-0. Now, at this point, we're going to go back around and we're going to fill in, we're going to make these points a little bit more defined. But at the same time, we're going to add our first set of bicones. And I'm going to clear this away because I've done this a number of times where I haven't put this away and I've picked up the wrong bead to go with the bicone. So I'll be back in a minute. And I've laid out my new colors and my new material, and I'm going to start adding the center bicones. Now, I like to do contrasting or colors that will stand out. So our bicones will be pink, and where we have the dark blue, I'm going to use green. So I want to pick up a bicone, and I want to pick up one of my green beads. I'm going to slide this all the way down, and I need to go through the bicone again, not the green bead, just the bicone, and then I'm going to go through the same bead I was coming out of, but the other side, the back of the bead I was coming out of. I'm going to pull this all the way down. Make sure that you don't have any loops. See, there's a loop on that side, so I'm going to pull this tight to make sure that all the thread is tightened there. And that's what it should look like. And you shouldn't have any thread showing in here other than the minor ones. You shouldn't have any loops of thread. Okay, so then we're going to go up the next two. We're going to do two things at once here, so I don't have to go around twice and add extra thread. We're just going to go up the next two beads. And then I'm going to skip the tip. I'm going to skip this one and go down the next three beads. So I'm going to pick up these two and the one at the bottom. And I'm going to pull this all the way down. And I'm going to just make sure that that thread goes underneath this bead. And see how that forms a nice tip right there? You get a very nice tip. So we have to pick up another bicone and another bead. We'll slide them all the way down. Oops, got caught on the tail. Okay, so we're sliding all the way down. Early on, it's a little hard with the thread being so long. Now we still have to go through the bicone. So you pick up that bicone, and we'll go through the bead that we came out of, the back side of the bead we just came out of, and we'll pull this all the way through. And again, make sure that you don't have that loop there, that your bicone is going all the way down to the bottom, like that. So you're nice and clean. And then we'll go up two. And then we'll skip the point bead and we'll go down three. And we're going to do this for the next three beads. We'll pick up our bicone. That makes a nice little point. And we'll pick up a green bead. We'll slide them down. Don't forget to go through the bicone before you go back through the bead and the star. And then we'll go to the next point. You'll go to the next bead. That flipped around. You'll go to the next point and secure that. And when you're finished, we'll come back. So we're now at the last point. So we came up two, and now I have to skip this point and go down to go down two, not three at the very end. Just go down two. bring this through. Let me move these out of the way a little bit. All right. So you should be exiting at the bead just before the bottom one. And the reason I say go down 2 is you've got a thread right here, and we're just going to follow that thread up through this bead and through the top. So you're going to go through the bicone and through the top. We're going to pick up 3 beads, and we're going to go the opposite side of the bead that you're coming out of. And this is going to form a little foursome there. And we need to go back down the bicone. So you're going to go down through the bicone. Going slowly so you can see it, and also so this thread does not tangle. And now we can go through the second bead here. So we go up the second one. And we're going to go up through the tip. So if you can't do it in one pass, do it in 2, but you're going to go up through the tip. Make sure we don't tangle. Okay. Now this one we're also going to pick up 3. So we're going to pick up 3 green. And we're going to go through the back of the bead we're coming out of. So this will form the same little diamond, but the bottom will be silver. Now we're coming out of this bead so we can go down, coming out of this one so we can go down 2. Bring this across. You want to tighten it only enough so these beads stand up. Don't get too tight. All right, I'm going to go back up the bicone and through the bead at the top. I'm going to pick up 3 beads. And we're going to go in the other direction. The thread's coming out, so the thread's coming out over here. Go in the other direction. Back down the bicone. And now we'd go up the 3 beads, not the bottom one, but the next one over, and through the point. And we're going to add 3 beads to this one. And we'll continue going all around until we've reached the other side. Now we're at the very top of this last point, and we're going to add our 3 beads and go through. And we'll go down 2. And we'll need to go back up this bicone and then I'm going to go around. I'm going to go through here. It doesn't really matter which direction you go in because you can always flip it over. So we want to go through the bottom bead, the anchor, and then we go through the side bead on the side we've come through. And then through the top bead. So you should be exiting out the top bead. Now we're going to add these 12 millimeter bugle beads. So now we're ready to add our bugle beads to make the outside of our star. So we're going to pick up a bugle bead, and when you pick them up, check the edges to make sure that they haven't chipped, because if they're rough, they may sever the thread. They may cut the thread. So you want to make sure that the bugle beads are fairly smooth on the outside. So we're going to pick up one bugle bead, a green bead, and another bugle bead, and we're going to go through the top of the next set of 4 that's above the bicone. So you want to skip this one and go to the next one and bring that in. And you're going to do that again. So we're going to pick up a bugle bead and a green bead and another bugle bead, and we'll go through. And you'll do that all the way around. We're now ready to put on our last set. So we go through the top bead here. So we have our star. Now these points I like to stick up. So as we did earlier, we're going to go through this bugle bead. And I am going to go through the next one, skipping the green bead. We're going to go through the next one. And then I'll go through this green bead. I'm not going to skip the green bead here. I'll go through that green bead. And then I'll skip this one on the tip and go through the bugle bead. So you can probably hold these so they're fairly straight and get through the full set at once. Like that. And if they don't pop up, then just bring your needle in and pull them up. Like that. And adjust the thread. Again, don't make it too tight, but you do want to adjust it enough to force those ends to actually stick up. Sometimes you can just, you don't have to use your needle, you can just pop them up like I did, and they'll pop into place. All right, and last one. Now I'm going to come down to here, and excuse me, I'm actually going to start with this bead. So we're going to add, now we're going to add some attachments for the points where we'll be able to attach it to our circle. So we're coming out of this green bead here, and I'm going to move those aside for a moment. We don't need those. And we're going to start putting on this and this section in here. So we're going to start with we'll add our green bicones, and we'll continue with our green. So we pick up 3, and we go through the back of this bead and up to the top. Just press that down. Now these might flip over, which is okay, because we're going to come back and we're going to add something up here which will pull this out and keep it straight. So if it bends over, don't worry about it. All right, the next thing we do is we go through the green bead. I got to pull some thread out. There we go. All right, go through the green bead, pick up your, I have my bicones out of the camera range, so pick up a bicone, and now we're going to pick up 4 of our seed beads and bring these down. And we're going to go back through the last bead before the crystal and through the crystal. So we continue through this bicone crystal, and we pull, and you'll see that that forms our little set of 4 up top. Now we want to go back through this bead. Don't go through this bugle bead yet. Go back through the green bead in the direction that we're moving. And the reason is this will anchor this nicely to the green bead. It won't be pulling to one side. Now we can go through the bugle bead and through the green bead down here. And we're going to be adding 3 green. And we'll go through the back side of this bead again. Come out. So we have our little set here of 4. Go back up the bugle bead. Through the green bead. So we want to anchor these to the green beads, not to the bugle beads. So we pick up another crystal, and we'll pick up 4 of these little green seed beads, and we come down and we go through the top bead, the one right next to the crystal, not the other 3, and through the bicone, through the crystal, and pull this through. Now I'm going to have to pull this down because when I pull the thread, it grabbed the crystal piece as well. So if I pull this down and tighten it up, it comes out like that. Now we're going to go back through the green bead. Sorry for the thumb. You have to hold these in place. So I know it makes it difficult to see, but you do have to hold your beads in place when you're doing this. Otherwise, you're going to get a lot of loose thread. So I'll try to point it out as we go. So we went back through here, and then we're going to go down the bugle bead and down through the green, and we're going to do one of these, and then we're going to do another one of these, and you're going to go all the way around until we finished. I've taken about 2 short arm lengths of this silver thread, and I've run it up this bugle bead and through the green one and made a little knot, come up the next bugle bead, and now I'm going to go through this green bead right here, and we'll be in position to attach this center part to our frame. So this is the center part that we just finished, and we're going to attach it to our frame. I'm going to use these dark bluish green beads instead of the pink ones. And here is our frame. So I'm going to first get in position. I have brought this through the green bead. I have to go up the bicone and up the first green bead. And at this point, it's not going to matter too much which direction. Okay, we're going to go up. Actually, it does. We're going to go up the left side of this green. Yeah, we want to be pointing in the right direction. Then we're going to be going across and picking up the top bead. Now I'm going to pick up of these blue ones. I'm going to move them a little bit so I can pick them up and lay my frame down here. All right, so we're going to work. I'm just positioning to make sure we're all in the camera here. We're going to pick up 2 of these blue beads. And we're going to come back through this green bead. When working with beading thread, it's easy to go through the thread, so I just pushed that thread out of the way so I wasn't going to go through the thread that was already there. All right, we're going to go back up this one side. You want to go back up the bead to the right. Now I'm going to lay this down, and I'm going to go under my frame. I want to pass my needle under my frame. And I'm going to come down through the same bead, coming in the same direction. The thread's coming out. And then I'm going to go through the center bead, making my way over to the left side. And we want to go up the left side. We're going to do the same thing. So I'm just going to pass this under. Once I get hold of this bead, I'm going to pass this under. I'm going to pass the needle under. Now I'm going to put my finger on here so the beads don't follow and go underneath the frame. And I want to make sure I'm not tied up in any of these other beads that are on here. So I'm pulling slowly, and I've got my finger holding the position. There we go. And now, this is just an extra, so we'll get this out of here. Now we want to go back through on the top of that same bead. And again, holding my finger there. And now I can pull and make this tighter. So I can make this tighter to the frame. And I want to come back down. We're going to make our way down and come over here. So I need to come back down, which means I go across. Don't go straight down. Your thread, you'll see that thread. So you're going to want to come through the bead on the bottom. You're following your bead and your thread path. Now this may look a little strange the way I'm handling the needle because I'm trying not to get my finger in the way so that you can see where the needle's going. And we're going to go down the next one. Now we go down this one, the bottom bead, and through our bicone. Again, placing your finger on your work so it doesn't come off the frame. And we will go through this green bead at the bottom one more time. And then we're going to go through our bugle bead. And through the next green bead. Don't go through the second bugle bead. You just want to go through the next green bead. we're exiting this green bead, and we're going to go around to the top so we can add some additional beads. So we're going to go to the left, and then we'll go through the top bead. And next we're going to pick up 3 of the dark blue. And we're going to go around in the same direction, go to the back of the bead you're coming out of, and come through. So we form the top of the diamond. And we're going to continue to follow the thread path. We'll go up 1, only 1. We're not going to the very top. We're going to work on the sides now. So we're going to go up 1. And you should be exiting this right-hand bead going up. At this point, we pick up a bugle bead. And we're going to pick up 3 of our dark blue beads. And we'll bring them down. And you're going to want to go into the first 2 beads, not all 3, just the first 2. And use your thumb to pull them down, or one of your fingers. And we should be sitting here with this is going to be the top bead. So the thread should be coming out the top bead, pointing to the left. I'm going to pass this needle through, and position the thread underneath our frame. I want this loose bead to be on the left as well. So when I did that, this flipped over. So I'm going to turn this back around. And I'm also going to make sure these 3 beads are down tight against this bugle bead. Now I want to take my needle and go through that top bead again, staying on top of the frame. And I'm going to put my finger on this so it doesn't move. You don't want it moving. I pulled the tail out first. The tail was down there. So you want these beads to be nice and tight. And we have to go through one more time because we want them to lay flat. So we pass under the frame this time. We pass under the frame this time. And we'll go through this blue bead one more time. And again, I'm going to put my finger down on top of it so that this doesn't move. There. Because I want that to stay as tight as possible. All right, now we're going to come down through this bead, this bead that didn't have any thread going through it, and we're going to go back through our bugle bead and down through the blue bead below. If you can't get them all at once, then just go through the bugle bead and you can pick up the blue bead on the second pass. Point is, try not to wiggle around too much and loosen the threads before you get a chance there to pull them tight. Now I can go through that blue bead, and I'm going to go through the green bead just below it. Again, I have to put my finger to pull. So I'm trying to do this so that you can see, but I also have to secure the beads so the thread doesn't show. All right, now we're going to go up through this blue bead. And we're going to repeat what we just did here. So we're going to pick up a bugle bead. And we're going to pick up 3 blue beads. We're going to bring them all the way down, and you're going to go through the first 2 blue beads. And we're going to use our thumb to make sure that they go all the way down against this bugle bead. And they're coming out in the thread's coming out in the left, and this bead is loose bead is on the left. So I'm going to reposition my thread underneath. Okay, and we want to go with the thread underneath. We want to go through this bead that your thread's coming out of. And once I get the needle through, I'm going to push this down, hold this down so the beads don't move, and pull the thread through. There we go. And I'm going to come back around under and through. Now I can pick this up. A lot of times it's easier to, the second bead is to pick up. So if I pull this tight, put this between your fingers here, and then go through here, go through this bead. There. It crossed over, so you can just push the thread over. There we go. And pull again. And now we go through the loose bead, the bugle bead, and the blue on the bottom. We're going to pull this down, and now we can tighten it. There we go. We want to go through, now we want to go through this green bead again. You don't want to just have thread open. So it may be counterintuitive because you're going backwards, but you're going to go through this green bead again. And the key to this is keeping the beads where they are. Don't let the beads slip. And then we'll come down this green. And now we can turn. Now we can make the turn to go through the bugle bead and the green bead, and we can actually get all the way up. And that happened to run all the way up the range that we wanted. Bugle bead, green bead, bicone, and the 2 green beads. So I'm only going to have to go through one more, which will be this one at the top here. And at this point, we're going to pick up 2 blue beads, and we're going to go through this green bead again from the back. and then go through the first blue one on the right. See, we're following the same pattern as this. And now I just prefer to go under because it's easier for me to find the bead when we come back round. This is the simple one. So we just go under, come down the blue. This one, you don't want to have the beads all over, but it's not as imperative that you keep them tight like it was the other one. And we can come around because these will tighten as you pull the threads. See, this will tighten up as I pull my thread. And then I'm going to go through my blue again, and in the back, I'll go behind. And then we're going to come through again. All right. Now we have to weave our way back. So we're going to have to weave our way. Now these actually can go across this way, so they'll flatten a little bit better. We'll weave our way back through these green. Now, if in the beginning these stick up like this, that's fine, because when you get to the last one or two of these, you're really going to be stretching. So they'll be stretched out, and at that point, they won't be sticking up like this. So we're going to weave our way back. We have to go down again through the green, and we're going to go through this. Remember, we're going through this, through the bicone, but we still have to go through that green bead. This may have looped. Nope, we're good. All right, this will come through. Now I can actually pull this down a little bit. And I want to go in this direction through the green. And I'm going to go down the bugle bead and come out the other side of the green bead here. See the green bead? All right, and I'm going to do another one of these so you can see, and then you can finish going around. So we're going to come up the green, we have to get to the center point, so we'll go through this green bead. Now we have to add 3 beads, and little hint, if the thread's going to the right, then you've got to add the 3 beads, because whenever you're doing the wrap around the top or putting the beads on to go up this way, the thread should be going in the other direction, should be going left. So we need 3 beads. And we're going to come around this way. Now, in order to go left, we actually have to come up. Well, this one we go up straight. We don't have to go all the way to the top. So remember, this one, we're going to do the 2 sides. So we only have to come up 1. And we pick up a bugle bead. Now remember to check your ends on your bugle beads. And we're going to pick up 3. And we go down through the first 2, come back up the first 2, only 2. Pull down with your thumb. All right, this will naturally come up. Excuse me. This will naturally come up out the left side. Now we're going to pass this through, holding the beads down. We go into this one stay up on this side. I'm going to put my finger down. We stay up on this side of the beads. See, now this, I didn't push down enough and this slipped. So we're going to have to pull this back down, make sure we get this down. All right, now it's tight. You don't see any thread. And I'm going to pass the needle back through. And we have to go back through this bead on the top side. There, through that bead on the top. I'm holding down beads. There. And then we'll come down through the bead on the left and down the bugle bead. And then down this blue bead if we can. If we can't, we'll just pick it up the second round. Hold the beads down again. All right. Through the green. See, now this came out nice and tight. We don't see any thread. We're going to go up this side of the blue one. I have to pick up a bugle bead, and I have to pick up 3 blue. I'm bringing these down, going through the first 2. Pulling tight, and that wasn't tight because you can see the thread there. So pull it tight again. There we go. Pass my needle through. The reason it keeps getting caught on the mat is this needle has bent. So it's bending in a downward position. Okay. We're positioned now to go through this bead. And as soon as I get the needle through, I'm going to put my finger down here and pull through. And now I have to come underneath. I can either do that like I did a moment ago, or I can pick up and hold on to this, hold on to my thread and come through this way. I'm going to put this down and put my finger on there, and then I'm going to come through the bead on the left, through the bugle bead, through the blue bead on the bottom, I'm going to still hold that down because it can still, the thread can still move. You still want to hold that down. And now we come through the green bead. And the green one next to it. And then the green on the bottom. and through the bugle bead, and we'll be ready to do the next piece with the bicone. Now continue around your piece like that. And these, as I say, these can move, so you can get them to pull a little closer if you move these over. So you can move them as you're working. And when we come to the very last one, I'll come back and I'll show you how we're going to end this. I'm just about ready now to do this last bicone, and then I'll have one more set of spokes to do over here. But you'll notice when you get to the end, it stretches, the design will stretch out a little bit. You'll want to position your spokes wide, so that's where they'll sit once you're finished. And then when you come through here, on this last one, when you pull it, you'll see this tension that starts to pull the center. So it starts to pull it outward, which you didn't have when you did the other ones, the other spokes, because there was nothing opposing the other side. So now we're going to come back around, and I'm going to go through this bead again. And go under, and then we'll come back and go over. And I pull this tight, and when I go through here in the next bead, it'll actually stay. It doesn't stay tight until you get a point where it can't slip back. All right, and we'll go down the next one, and that should start to stay tightened up, and we'll come down through the bicone, and then go through our green bead and through our next green bead, if I can find it. Come on. I'll just go through the bugle bead first, and then I'll go through this one. Okay. All right. Oh, one too far. Wasn't paying attention. There we go. All right, so now we have to come up the green. I'm a little concerned about we're running out of thread, so a little distracted. Okay, 3 blue, 3 blue, and remember we only come up the first blue. Now I'm going to pick a bugle bead, and I need 3 blue beads. We'll bring them down. We'll go through the first 2. Tighten that. Remember now we bring the needle under, and we go through our top bead, And then I'm going to hold this one up and come around and go through the top bead again. Down the blue and down to the green. All right, now I only have to get one more on. So let's see if I can manage that, and then we're going to tie off. I'll get a shorter needle if I have to. All right, so same thing. We pick up a bugle bead, coming up the next side, and we pick up our 3 blue beads. Yep. I will get a shorter needle. All right, I've threaded my shorter needle now. We go through the last 2. Pull down. Pass under the and we're going to go through this side. We go through the opposite side the thread's coming out of. Oh, that's the tail. Okay. And then I'm going to pick this up and hold. Go through that bead again. There we go. And we go through the bead on the left. And the bugle bead. And the blue if we can get it. And pull down. And now we're going to go through the green. And this green. All right, now we have actually finished. So I have just enough thread to tie this. I'm going to go through this green bead. This is a little loose here, so I'm going to go through this green bead. And not the bugle bead, because I want to actually come down this side and tie off. So I'm going to go down towards the middle. All right, so I'll make a little knot around this thread. I'm going to go backwards through here. I'll pass the needle backwards. That's what you can do if you have less thread. I'm going to come around here. I'm going to do that again on this side. Whoops. I needed a little bit more. There, I can pull that up. Do that again on this side. Make a little knot. Come back up here. And I'm going to go through this central. I'm going to go through the. There we go. Because I can go through the center bead again, and I'm going to go through the bugle bead, and I'm just going to pull this up as far as it'll go, and I'm going to cut it off. Now let's adjust our spokes. Okay. Now one last thing I want to show you how to do. So I hope you do like what was created. I have these large silver rings. So if you're going to use this as a Dreamcatcher or an ornament, this looks like it's got some extra space between the beads. There we go. We can just pull that through. I can do this with my hand. So now you've got a loop to hang it with. So I hope you enjoyed our video, and if so, please like and subscribe. Today we're going to make the second earring for this leaf-like set of earrings. I've already made a pair in green, and I'm going to make the second one in the iridescent blue. This is more of a rainbow blue because it's got blue and some purples and some greens. So I've got my 4mm beads. I need 4 of those. My super duos, my 11-0 beads, and my 8-0 beads. I also have my earring hook and a little closed loop that we'll use at the end. So let's get started. I'm going to pick up a 4mm bead, an 11, another 4, and another 11. So we'll start with this. I'm going to bring this all the way down to the bottom of the thread, leave a little bit of tail because I'm not only going to knot this, but I like to weave it in a little bit later. So I'm going to go back through these beads, fuzz, and I'll pull this, lost my tail, pull this through. And at this point we'll create a knot. So I'm going to knot the thread twice. I'm going to make sure that it doesn't catch on that one little silver bead. There, we don't want it looping over the bead. All right, now since the last one we put on was the silver bead, we came out of that. We don't have to go through any of these other beads to get started. So we're going to pick up 4 super duos and go into the next silver bead. And we're going to pick up another 4 super duos. And go through the next silver bead. Now this is going to look, next one's going to look a little bit different. We're going to pick up 2 duos. And we're going to pick up an 11-0 and then 2 more duos. And we'll go in the silver bead. We do this because this silver bead is what's going to form right here. And then we finish with 4 super duos. And we go through the last silver bead. I'm using black thread. You need about 24 inches to start. And I like the black because disappears when you have a dark bead. If I were using a lighter bead, I would use something either white or potentially a cream or green. Now the next spot I want to go through is one super duo, because we're going to come back up and through the double beads right here. So we're coming back up and through. Now I like to work with the beads going up, and it doesn't matter what side you use on this one because they're both the same. So I will flip this over so that my thread is now going up this way. And I'm also going to get rid of this tail. So if you give me a moment, I'm going to grab a smaller, slightly smaller needle and get this through. Now I'll go in the direction of the thread path that came out of the silver bead. So it looks like it came out of the silver bead, so I'll go back through a white and a silver. And then another white and silver. The silver has the, just the white one then, because the silver one has the knot. I want to pull that taut, and I'm just going to cut this off. All right, now we can work without the thread in our way. So I want to work going up, and now we're going to add our 8-0 beads, and we're going to add them in groups of 3. It helps if you count, because if you happen to miss one and you get to the double beads, you'll know that you missed one. So we're going to do 1, pull them tight, 2, 3. Now at this point there's no place to put a bead between these two, so we're just going to go through both of them. So we go through the 2 of them together. And now we start again with 1. Now we've gotten to this double bead, this extra bead here that we added the last round. And what we're going to do at this point is we're going to pick up a silver, and we'll pick up a duo, and we'll pick up another silver. And then we're going to put them through, go through the next bead. So that's going to count as 2, and then this will be 3, and we'll go through the 2 beads. And you'll see how that forms the nice point. All right, another set of 3. 1, 2, and 3, going through the double. And this will be my last set of 3. 1, 2, and 3. Now we're only going to go through the 1 bead, not the whole double. Just go through the first one, because we're going to reverse direction now. We need to get to, pull this through. We need to get back to this bead in order to put our top on. So this piece on top is what we're going to work on. So in order to do that, we go through 1. Now we've got to backtrack. And if you only go through 1 and then drop the thread down here, it's not as noticeable as if you were to go over here. You'd see it more here than you see it along the side of this bead. This is why I'm using black. Although I have white beads in the center, you don't see the black thread in the super duos. Now we're going to have to go through this bead in this direction, which means we have to, because this is coming out of here, we're going to have to go through here and then come back up. So our thread path has to go through 2 more super duo beads. And sometimes they're hard to go through 2 at a time. If you can't go through 2 at a time, just go through 1 at a time. There, I got it. We pull it through. Now we come up this side, and we want to go through this silver bead. And we're going to pick up 1 large silver bead. We're going to pick up the closed loop, which I've already put the hook on, and then we'll pick up another large super duo, and we're going to come around the back and through this silver bead 1 more time. See how this lines up quite nicely. So we're going to want to reinforce this, so we're going to go through the bead, pull it tight. We'll go through the loop and the bead and the next bead 1 more time. Now I've gone through 2. I use 2. If you prefer to do it 3 times, by all means, go around the circle again 3 times. We're going to go through this bead. That'll make 2. We'll have 2 threads on this loop. And then I want to go through the next super duo and the next silver bead, and I want to get to this point. I'm making my way over here between these 2 because I'm going to put a knot in here, but because these 2 touch each other, if I drop this through here and bring my knot through here, without getting caught on my hook, there, like this, it won't be visible. So I can do a nice little invisible knot there. And I'm going to then come back down. I'm going to do the same thing again with another knot right between these 2. So you're looking for beads, when you're doing your tie-offs and your knots, you want to look for beads that, I picked one that's going to be difficult to come through. Yep. I got stuck. Okay, don't want to break it, so wiggle. Okay, you're looking for knots and you're looking for beads that are next to one another, so that when you're looking for beads to make knots, so that you don't see them. They're not quite as out in the open. So I will come back through these 2. In hindsight, I should have gone in the other direction, because it doesn't really matter which direction you're tying off, because I've already gone through these 2. But it really doesn't matter. All right, so we'll come through. The point being, I just want to get a couple of more passes so that I can cut this off and be assured that they're not going to wiggle loose. And that's it. So here's the piece. If you make 1, it's a pendant, and if you make 2, it's earrings. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Please like and subscribe.